Football used to be a place where magic felt real, where tiny clubs punched giants in the mouth, where Leicester won the Premier League, where Greece conquered Europe, where Wigan lifted an FA Cup they had no business touching. But today, money has built walls, data has closed gaps, and the gap between giants and dreamers keeps stretching wider. This video asks a simple but painful question. Have we reached the end of football fairy tales? And what changed? Why does it feel like underdogs no longer have a chance? Let's break it down.
Football wasn't always this predictable, but today the landscape has changed. The game is dominated by super clubs that aren't just strong, they're almost untouchable. Their dominance comes not just from winning games, but from winning the business of football. For example, in the 2023-24 season, the top 10 revenue-generating clubs made nearly half of their revenues from commercial activities, 48%, while clubs ranked 11 to 20 relied more heavily on broadcast income, 47%, instead of global brand deals. This shift means that the rich keep getting richer. Clubs with the global brand power, the stadiums, the sponsorship deals now have such depth, both in roster and finances, that hope alone can't level the playing field. When one small club sells its breakout star or loses its best coach, the next giant just moves in one gear faster. The smaller club is forced into recycling or rebuilding. Your typical underdog used to hope the favorite had an off day. But now, the super club is built so systematically that off days are rare. The margins of error have been stretched into a safety net. Meanwhile, the middle class in football, those clubs with decent resources but not elite ones, is shrinking. The top leagues, England, Spain, Germany, Italy, and France, generate about 53% of the total European football market revenue. That concentration means fewer resources trickle down to the ambitious underdogs. Even when a small club produces something special, a breakout player, or a stunning cup run, the system is stacked against them retaining it. The big clubs not only buy the stars, but also buy the infrastructure, analytics, facilities, global marketing. The power to sustain success rests now on far more than just luck or a good season. The current landscape ensures that becoming an underdog fairy tale requires not just beating the odds, but rewriting the rules of the game itself.
Even when an underdog manages to rise above the noise, when they shock the world with a miracle season or a magical cup run, the system refuses to let them stay there. Modern football is designed in a way where climbing the mountain is possible, but staying at the top is almost impossible. The first issue is consistency. Fairy tales used to happen because giants were beatable. The big teams had weaknesses, bad transfer windows, poor fitness setups, managerial chaos, and underdogs could exploit those cracks. Today's elite clubs barely have cracks at all. Their structures are so well built that they rarely drop points, rarely implode, and rarely give the smaller teams room to breathe. One good season from an underdog isn't enough when the giants are built to be relentless every single year. Then there's the financial gravity. Success makes you a target. The moment an underdog shines, the world notices, and so do the richer clubs. Their best striker? Bought. Their breakout midfielder? Gone. Their coach, the one who made everything click? Poached by a bigger project with triple the salary. Even the director of football or chief scout gets pulled away. Under the surface, the club is left with holes that money or momentum simply can't replace. And the cycle repeats. The underdog tries to rebuild, but the reality is harsh. They don't have the global fan base, the commercial pull, or the broadcasting muscle to keep up with the elite. They celebrate one success while the giants build dynasties. Even European football contributes to this cycle. The biggest competitions funnel more attention, more prestige, and ultimately more power to the same elite names every season. When those giants consistently reach the biggest stages, their brand grows, their revenue grows, and their dominance becomes even harder to challenge. Meanwhile, the underdog that breaks through once is forced back into survival mode the following year. And this is the core of the problem. The system rewards stability, wealth, and legacy, not dreams, chaos, and magic. Underdogs aren't allowed to become permanent threats. They're allowed one punch, one moment, one miracle. Then they're pushed back into place.
With all the dominance, money, and predictability in modern football, it's easy to believe the magic is gone forever. But fairy tales don't die. They just evolve. What's changed is not the possibility of miracles, but the shape those miracles take. Today, the classic underdog story, the tiny club beating the giants over a full season, is almost extinct. But football still leaves tiny cracks in the system, and sometimes something incredible slips through. Cup competitions remain the biggest stage for unexpected magic. One match, one moment, one perfect plan, and suddenly a giant begins to wobble. Knockout football still allows emotion, momentum, and chaos to win. A disciplined defense, a fearless teenager, a late counterattack, and just like that, the script flips. Cups still remind us that football isn't just data and budgets, it's adrenaline, mistakes, and human hearts beating out of rhythm. Another source of hope comes from clubs that reinvent themselves rather than outspend anyone else. Teams that build smart, scout smarter, and create identities so strong that even the giants can't bully them easily. Clubs built on ideas, not wallets. They might not win the biggest trophies, but they punch above their weight in ways that feel heroic. These modern, intelligent underdogs show that fairy tales can come from innovation, not just inspiration. And then there are the moments that no system can control. The debut star no one saw coming, the manager who transforms a broken squad, the run of form that ignites a whole city. Football may be scripted financially, but it still refuses to be scripted emotionally. You can buy talent, but you cannot buy destiny. So yes, the old fairy tales are fading, but the spirit behind them, the belief that anything can happen, still lingers in the game's smallest corners. Maybe the new underdog stories won't be as dramatic as Leicester's title or Greece's Euro win, but as long as football is played by human beings, under pressure, in real time, with millions watching, miracles will always find a way to sneak in.
So where does all this leave us? Modern football isn't the wild, chaotic playground it once was. The giants have built empires. The gaps have widened. The underdog stories we grew up loving feel rarer, smaller, less explosive. But maybe that's exactly why they still matter. Because when something becomes harder, it becomes more precious. When a small club pulls off the impossible today, it hits different. It feels heavier. It feels earned. It feels like a reminder that the human side of football, hope, belief, courage, can still punch holes through the concrete walls of money and power. Fairy tales aren't over. They're just buried. And every now and then, someone with enough heart digs one out again. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And tell me in the comments, what underdog story meant the most to you? See you in the next one.